Hello, Professor Yerby here. In this video I'm going to be using the NIST Special Publication 800-101 Revision 1 from Ayers, Brothers, and Jansen. It's a 2014 publication titled The Guidelines on Mobile Forensics. So I'm going to be just going through just a small piece here. I believe I'm starting on page 17. And I just want to go through this graphic that they have here on page 17, the different ways to classify the types of extraction that you can do for mobile forensics. So the first one is something called manual extraction. So this involves just viewing the data that's actually stored on the phone. The contents displayed on the LCD screen. And at this level, it's impossible to recover deleted information because, again, you're just looking at the cell phone screen. There are some tools that are out there to help you categorize and document this. One tool that we have is called the Parabens Projectaphone. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. So you'll see in this graphic here that really it's a case, it's a Projectaphone, and it's really just a high quality web camera that comes with some software that makes it easy to take screenshots and document the entire procedure. Because when you're working with a manual extraction, you're going to be pressing the buttons on the phone, which is has the potential to be difficult to make changes to the phone, and you really just need to make sure that what you're doing on the phone is captured, and that when you go to present this in a report, that you can state that this is everything that was done to this device, and this is why it was forensically sound, right? If you want to get in that debate right now. The next thing is logical extractions. So this is where what we'll be focusing on primarily if you're watching this for my class. It's connectivity between the mobile device and a forensic workstation through using something like USB. That's what we'll primarily use. It could be infrared, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connection, but you're going to connect the mobile device to the workstation, and then you're going to use some software to do some analysis at that point. Examiners should be aware of issues associated when selecting a specific connectivity method. So if you connect Bluetooth, what's happening when you connect Bluetooth? If you connect Wi-Fi, is that connecting to other items on there? So I'll almost always opt for USB. And we know that it's going to create a registry entry. We know that it's going to install some drivers. It's going to make a small change on the phone as well. It's just you document that whole process of what happens, right? Logical extraction tools begin by sending a series of commands over the interface to the mobile device. The mobile device responds based on the request, and then the response sent back to the workstation, and then at that point you have communication between the two. So again, this is one of those things that makes mobile forensics different than computer forensics. In computer forensics, you would never do this where you're having your piece of evidence send information and you're changing something. But with mobile forensics, this is the standard operating procedure. The next options are hex dumping and JTAG. So I'll talk about these really briefly. Hex dumping and JTAG is the Joint Test Action Group. Gives you raw information stored on the flash memory. The hex dumping is it's taking the digital information on the phone, modifying a bootloader, telling the phone to, hey, give me everything you have, and then it sends that whole thing out there. There's something called a flasher box. Let me see if I can find one really quick. Okay, so here's an example of a company called Infinity, and this is their flasher box that you would connect to the device. But it also gives some warning here of the flasher box should not be your first solution. It's a pretty invasive tool. So before you use this, you would go with something like Cellebrite, UFED, or Device Seizure from Paraben, or some of these other they mentioned here. So those should be used as your first response, but sometimes these, because the technology is newer or more advanced, or there's something that's there's some reason that Parabon or Cellebrite or these other companies can't read the phone, then a flasher box may be your next alternative. It says, are they safe? And it says, well, yes, if you've been trained and have extensive experience using them under controlled environments. And it says the alternatives to not using it is you could potentially leave behind evidence and move on once your automated solution has failed you. So based on the importance and the time and the resources that you have to go into the investigation, this may be the next step for you to use. So here's another flasher box here. So it's invasive, changes to the data may occur. Some flasher boxes are technically challenging and complicated to use. Some do not create an audit trail or processing log, so you'd have to go through and try to figure out what you've actually changed. They do not perform hash verifications. There are many different boxes for an array of devices in the marketplace. Each box can come with many different software interfaces. Proprietary and commercial sensitive information is often required for the correct interpretation. So this is going to be used by very high level investigations, right? And analyzing the recovered data can be time consuming, so it doesn't make it nice and pretty and easy to use like it is in our logical extraction. So just one more thing on here. Flasher boxes are small devices designed with the intent to service or upgrade mobile devices. And the last two here are chip off. So chip off again is a specialized training. There's I think 2 places in the world that provide chip off training. It acquires data directly from the mobile device's flash memory. So you're opening the phone and grabbing the flash memory chip. This extraction requires physical removal of the flash memory. Chip-off provides examiners with the ability to create a binary image of the removed chip in order to provide the examiner with data in a contiguous binary format file. Then you could do something similar to your computer forensics if you're doing data carving, where you're looking at the start and end of the files, right? The where leveling algorithm must be reverse engineered. Once it's complete, the binary image may then be analyzed. It's most closely related to physical imaging of a hard drive as traditional forensics. So extensive training is required to do this. It's challenging. There's a wide variety of chip types, raw data formats. There's a risk of causing physical damage to the chip. Once you damage that chip, you're out of luck. And so this one, again, if we look going up the pyramid, this is again less rare because of the risk involved. A quick interruption. While I was going through editing the video that you're watching now, I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more information about chip-off forensics. So first I wanted to provide some pictures to show you what a chip-off would look like. So I'm using some images from binaryintel.com where they're discussing chip-off. So you can see this chip that's come off of this phone that looks like it's appeared to be extensively damaged. This looks like some sort of music playing device, right? And looks like here's the LCD screen, and then here's a chip here that they're going to get the information off of. And then again, this is just the chip, and here we are. Looks like they have a device to secure the circuit board so that they can carefully remove the chip without damaging it. Right, and again, there's the chip. Here's another chip. And again, it looks like they're using some device to carefully handle the evidence or the chip without damaging it. Right, and then they also provided some great examples of when the chip-off forensics would be appropriate. So in a distracted driving case, so there's a wrongful death, there's a smashed cell phone, you would not be able to acquire it using the logical tools, right? So data may be acquired via chip-off. Questionable death, this is a BlackBerry that had a password on it. They were able to bypass the password by doing a chip-off, and then they were able to recover text messages and indicate that death was a result of suicide. Alright. Sexual exploitation. So in this one, there were audio recordings from a voice recorder, and there was no data port to try to use logical acquisition tools. So they took the memory chip of the recorder, analyze it, and they were able to find the deleted files. Right, and the last one, two different domestic or cheating spouses. One wife tried to destroy her secret phone with a hammer, and then another husband threw his phone in a pond. And in both cases, they were able to chip off and catch both of these fantastic people with secret phones and pond phones. And yeah. Alright, so yeah, I just wanted to add that to the video. Thanks. And then a micro read involves recording physical observation of the gates of the NAND and the NOR chips. So this is your flash memory. So this is going into using an electron microscope. So this is very rare, extreme technical. It would be only attempted for very high-profile cases equivalent to a national security crisis after all the other acquisition techniques have been exhausted. Right. It would require a team of experts, proper equipment, time, in-depth knowledge, proprietary information. So in about 5 weeks, I expect you to be able to do this. I'm kidding. There are no known U.S. law enforcement agencies performing acquisitions at this level. Currently, there are no commercially available micro-read tools. So this is where, when you're writing your report to send to court for a jury to interpret and make a decision upon, this is part of the problem with the legal system. In my opinion, this is an opinion part, that people see television shows and they think that everything is like this, that, oh, why didn't you just break out the electron microscope and figure out what was happening? Or why didn't you set the device down and it starts, floating in the air like Minority Report, and you got DNA and everything else. I've said this in many other classes, but forensics, whether mobile forensics or just cyber forensics, computer forensics, however you want to call it, is a very slow, scientific, and part art process, and the amount of evidence and the type of evidence doesn't match what they show on television, because television is supposed to be entertaining. But the problem is, the people who sit on your juries watch these entertaining television shows where they say triangulate that, rotate that, zoom in here, enhance that, and they do it in a matter of a second, and then they expect that to happen when they go sit in that courtroom. And so there's a problem with juries failing to convict where they may have convicted years previously before television shows sensationalize law enforcement. Okay, opinion over. That was a live soapbox there. But yeah, I just wanted to go through that, and then one last thing here I'll go through with the NIST. There's several definitions here that you should become familiar with, and then I wanted to just look at some of the different tools that are available out there. So you see lots of things here. So here's the Projectaphone, and so this one again is good for that level 1 where we're looking at the phone. And then down here we have things like Oxygen, right, which is a great paid forensic tool. This is the logical. I was looking for another one here. Here is the UFED. This is Cellebrite's UFED, right? Device seizure, so they do 2 and 3. EnCase Smartphone Examiner, which is a plug-in for EnCase Forensics. Right, and so they can do levels 2 and 3. And then levels 4, here's some options to do this flash kit. So I don't think any of these are the ones that we saw on there. And then again, that level 5, there's no available tools for that right now. So this is a good table here on page 22 for different tools that are available and how they fit inside the pyramid of manual extraction, logical extraction, dumping, JTAG, chip off, and then micro read. Alright, thanks. Hope this was helpful for you. Thank you.